When the world number one, Judd Trump, speaks, the snooker world listens. But his latest warning isn't just another headline, it's a serious message that could shake the foundations of the sport. Top players are frustrated, conditions are worsening, and patience is running out. If the problems aren't fixed soon, we could be watching the start of an exodus from professional snooker. And that's something no fan wants to see. If you're enjoying this video, hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe so you don't miss any snooker updates. Judd Trump, the world number one and former world champion, has just issued a stark warning that should worry every snooker fan. Top players could start quitting tournaments because their complaints are falling on deaf ears. We're not talking about minor grumbles here. This is the elite of the sport saying the system is broken, and if things don't change, they're walking away. Trump didn't hold back when speaking to Metro about the current state of the game. He believes playing conditions are nowhere near the level they used to be, and frankly, most players feel stuck on the same path with nothing really changing. They're all fighting for what's best for the players, but according to Trump, it feels like nobody's listening. He put it bluntly when he said their concerns are falling on deaf ears. Here's the real kicker. Trump explained that venues are being picked not because they're suitable for snooker, but because they're cheap. Cost is being considered over player welfare. There doesn't seem to be much care taken when venues are being selected. It's not really with snooker in mind, Trump said. It's more of a cost thing rather than trying to do the best for the players, the best standard, the best atmosphere, and the best arenas. And it's not just talk. Trump has already backed up his words with action. He didn't compete in the Scottish and Welsh Opens during the previous season, and he's planning to skip them again this campaign. He's not alone either. More and more players are doing the same thing, and Trump predicts this pattern will only escalate. He told Metro that certain events probably aren't fit for snooker, and if nothing improves, there's just going to be a period where more and more players pull out of events they don't see fit. Mark Selby, the 42-year-old four-time world champion, is singing from the same hymn sheet. Like Trump, Selby sat out the Scottish and Welsh Opens last season and intends to do the same this year. When he talks about playing conditions, you can hear the frustration in every word. Selby revealed something pretty shocking. He can't remember a recent tournament where he turned up and thought the conditions played really good, win or lose. Think about that for a second. One of the greatest players in the sport's history is saying he can't recall the last time conditions were actually decent. That's not a minor complaint, that's a systemic problem. The English Open in Brentwood is a perfect example. Selby made it to the semi-finals, which sounds great until you hear what he said about it. The conditions were as bad as he's ever played in, not just poor, not just disappointing, the worst he's ever experienced. And now tournaments are being held in leisure centres. Selby didn't mince his words about that either. The game has more money in the pot now than it's ever had, yet they're going to venues like that. He believes snooker is a lot bigger than those kinds of places. Selby used a brilliant comparison to drive his point home. He said it's like telling Man United to go and play on a football pitch with moleholes everywhere and expecting them to play to the top of their game. They can't do it, and snooker players are in exactly the same position. Players can only perform as well as the conditions allow, and right now, those conditions are letting everyone down. On a positive note, Selby did mention that the Waterfront Hall in Belfast for the Northern Ireland Open was no issue, so it's not impossible to get it right. The problem is consistency, or rather, the complete lack of it. Mark Allen, who was world number one, won from May to August and is now world number one. 3. Took things even further during the British Open in Cheltenham. After defeating Gary Wilson 4-3 on table 2 at the Centaur, a venue at Cheltenham Racecourse, Allen absolutely unloaded on the conditions. He told ITV they were absolutely embarrassing. Allen painted a pretty grim picture. Outside, the weather was some of the worst you could imagine, and somehow the massive transport doors had been left open. The playing area was cold and humid, making the table unplayable, but it wasn't just the environmental conditions. There were new guys doing the tables this year, and according to Allen, they're clearly not up to it. The cushions were unplayable and uncontrollable. The table was heavy. Then Allen dropped this absolute gem: the table needs to be burned. Allen also revealed something that should alarm the sport's governing bodies. He complains at every single tournament. He fills in table report sheets and matches report sheets religiously, and nothing ever changes. That's the most damning indictment of all. The feedback system exists, players are using it, and it's being completely ignored. Alan said, he prides himself on preparing properly for tournaments with good conditions, but when you turn up and don't get them, it's not good enough. The complaints aren't coming from nowhere either. This is a pattern stretching back through multiple tournaments and venues. In January, Ronnie O'Sullivan criticised London's Alexandra Palace, the regular home of the Masters tournament. His assessment, he found it disgusting. "Everywhere is dirty," he said. "Honestly, it just makes me feel ill." That's one of the sport's biggest stars talking about one of its most prestigious venues. During April's World Championships, Iranian player Hossein Vafaei attacked playing conditions at the Crucible Theatre in Sheffield. "You walk around the Crucible and it smells really bad," Vafaei said, adding that the practice room made him feel like he was practicing in his garage. When even the sport's most iconic venue is being criticised, you know there's a serious problem. O'Sullivan himself withdrew from his scheduled first-round match against Thailand's Manasawin Phetmalaikul on Monday morning at the British Open. The sport is literally losing its biggest star from tournaments. The response to all this frustration has been the formation of the Professional Snooker Players Association, or PSPA, which was created earlier this year. Four-time world champion John Higgins was appointed as chairman, with lawyer Ben Rees serving as director. The player board reads like a who's who of snooker: Trump, Selby, Kieran Wilson, Shaun Murphy, Mark Allen, Ali Carter, Stuart Bingham, Stephen Maguire, Gary Wilson, Joe Perry, Ryan Day, Barry Hawkins and Jack Lisowski. Higgins told the BBC that players feel like they haven't been listened to as they should have been in recent years. "The game has not moved forward with the times compared to other top sports," he said. But Higgins was careful to emphasise, this isn't about confrontation. A lot of people think it's a breakaway and all these different things, but it couldn't be further from the truth. Selby echoed this collaborative approach. They want to work with World Snooker, not against them. They just want to feel like they've got more of a say by doing it all as one, rather than going individually. Selby also addressed the perception problem, saying that a lot of the time people think players are moaning, but the reality is they're dealing with genuinely poor conditions tournament after tournament. The World Snooker Tour has responded, defending its table-fitting team and saying it works to the highest standards. They pointed to unprecedented rainfall affecting the British Open and said they raised the issue of the open door with the venue. WST also highlighted that major tournaments including the Triple Crown Series and Tour Championship have experienced substantial growth at premier locations. WST acknowledged the challenges of replicating practice conditions in huge tournament arenas. They've been soliciting player feedback for 2 years, which has led to modifications at events in China and Germany. Regarding the PSPA, WST said their door remains open and they've been ready to speak since they first heard about it at the start of August. But here's the bottom line. Snooker has more money flowing through it than ever before. Prize funds are up. The sport is growing globally. Yet the players, the very people fans pay to watch, are saying conditions are getting worse, not better. When legends like Trump, Selby, Allen and O'Sullivan are all saying the same thing, this isn't just complaining. This is a genuine crisis that threatens the quality of the sport we all love. Trump said hopefully there'll be something good that comes of it, but if not, expect to see more and more top names missing from tournament draws. The ball is firmly in the governing body's court.